there, welcome to Extra Healthy-ish. This is your podcast from Body+Soul, and I'm your host, Felicity Harley. How are you feeling about 2022? I saw a great meme the other day that 2022 is like taking an old boyfriend back who says he's changed for the third time, but really he hasn't. I don't know, from conversations I'm having with friends, with colleagues, I get the feeling that, well, we're all feeling uninspired, lacking motivation, and perhaps a bit blah. Well, to inspire you, to pep you up, I asked Shannah Kennedy to come on today. She has been on before, so I wanted to get her back. She is a wealth of wisdom. She's a life coach, a speaker, and author, and she's going to tell us why goal setting and mapping out the year ahead, month by month or season by season, can shake off our dreary mindsets. Actually, she talks about a great thing that she's developed called a vision board kit. Anyway, I'll let her tell you all about it. Shannah, thank you so much for, coming back on Extra Healthy-ish. And how are you aiming to stay extra healthy-ish in 2022?
Oh, I have got so many goals written down. It's very, very exciting. But every year I just try and make 2 or 3 very small changes that I want to make for the rest of my life to keep me healthy. So I usually look at my diet and exercise and just make really small tweak that I really want to commit to for the rest of my life. So my 70-year-old self is saying thank you.
And what's on your tweaking list this year?
My tweaking list is a little less sugar. So I've really dropped it down. I don't just quit it. I just drop it down and change those habits very slowly so that over a 3-year period, there will be no sugar. But to do it instantly is just far too overwhelming for me. So I just look at my habits and just slowly change them. So instead of having 2 lattes a day, I'll have 1 and a black coffee. Just get that milk out, and change the milk to an oat milk or something like that. So really small tweaks like that is what I really focus on. So little less sugar, less dairy, and then with our movement, making sure I do the 3 M's every day.
Yeah, like that.
Make my bed, move my body, mindfully breathe.
And
Forever.
how are you going? We're about 3 weeks in. This is kind of the period where people start, it starts dying off a bit, all these goals.
Well, it's up on my vision board. It's up on my mirror. So when you do write a goal down and you really want to power plan and start your year off, you have to see it or you forget about it after 3 weeks. So I always advise my clients to get out that whiteboard marker and write on your bathroom mirror. And then every time you're brushing your teeth, you cannot move away from it. It's right in your face. So when we don't have a visual prompt, we will usually not follow through.
Yeah, great advice. Now, a lot of our listeners, they're planners, they're dreamers, they're goal setters. They listen to this podcast because they just want inspiration. But at the moment, many of us are feeling very uninspired. Well, I know personally I am. A lot of other people I talk to. It's pretty grim if you look ahead. How can we approach our goals for this year specifically?
Well, number 1, we need to control the controllables, right? So only focus on the things you can really control. Like, do I want to upskill and learn 1 new skill this year that will really help me in the next 5 years? So whether it be in technology, whether it be on your profile, whether it be in something to do for your career or something to support your health and well-being, what's a skill that you would love to learn? It could be breathing. The last 2 years I've been teaching people to breathe, sometimes 600 people on a Zoom who say, I haven't had a breath for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
A conscious breath. And so we learn that every time you go to the bathroom and wash your hands, you could take 3 deep grounding breaths. If you did that for the rest of your life, every time you wash your hands, your nervous system would be calm and confident. You would make different decisions. You wouldn't buy into drama and fear. You would just focus on controlling your day and enjoying your day. So for me, those 3 breaths, 6 or 7 times a day, every time I wash my hands and I go to the bathroom, completely changes my outlook on life and my mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And such a simple thing. I mean, often when we come to goals, we think, okay, I want to go to Turkey, or I want to, buy this new car or whatever, those materialistic things, I suppose. Whereas there are tiny things that we can do which will actually better our life.
Yeah,
even more so.
We can have those big goals too, which I do, but I always look at my achievement of the day was, did I do the breathing? Because then I won't burn out. I will have energy. I don't feel lethargic. I don't feel stuck because I'm breathing so much. I'm just fueling myself so much. So I think a lot of people are just stuck. They've got stuck energy. So the way to shift your energy is to get oxygen in first. So it's a skill. It's a power skill for the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you talk about power planning. I love this word, power planning. It instantly inspires me. Why is it important to power? It's a bit of a tongue twister too. Power plan your year ahead.
Oh, it's my favorite thing, and it's what I coach people on. So power planning is, let's plan in a powerful, inspirational way where you're actually excited to go and take massive action. So power planning is about dividing the year into 4. So you either do it in quarters, or someone like me, I prefer to work with the seasons. So what is summer about? What is autumn about? What is winter about? And what is spring about? And every time we do that, we take into consideration our values, our goals for the season, my habit that I want to change for the season. So I've got 12 weeks to work on one habit. That could be breathing or doing 10 push-ups every time I get into the shower, whatever it might be. Something I want to learn. So looking at a topic on a podcast and thinking, yeah, I want to learn about menopause, or I want to learn about vegan, or whatever it might be. Then there's a joy component. So what am I going to do for joy in summer that I can control? And then what are the appointments that are really necessary that I need to do every summer? You know, the blood tests, see the naturopath, trim the hedges, get the car serviced, whatever it is. So you've broken the 12 weeks up into these beautiful little mind maps. So I've got some power planners that have been beautifully designed for the wall. And I look at it every day and I think, oh, I want this extra thing that I want to do, but I'm pretty full. So I'm going to shift it into autumn or winter. So autumn and winter is where I work my hardest, because there's no distraction. There's no sun shining. It's Melbourne. It's grey. So
absolutely.
I don't mind working extra hard, and I don't mind working nights either, but it would never happen in spring and summer. So spring, I start to take my foot off the gas a little bit, and summer is really for refueling. So there's rhythm and ritual to the year. When I'm in the middle of winter and I'm working really hard, I know why. I know how it's going to end, and I know how I'm going to refuel at the end of the year in the summer period. So your brain needs a map. It needs to know what's coming next. And if we don't have the 4 pieces of paper up on the wall and we can see the whole year very clearly, you just get lost in the blur. Everything is the same.
Yeah, you're so right.
It's called the treadmill of life. We're just on the treadmill. It's the same old, same old. Well, I personally don't want to live that way. So when you break it into 12-week blocks and you can make them punchy and powerful and mean something and learn something and achieve something and have some specific joy to it, and you can see it, you can really feel it. If we can't see it, we can't feel it. So we want to write down our goals. We want to write down what we want to do for joy. We want to have it on the wall and see it, whether it be on your vision board or your 4 power planners on the wall. I've got that in front of me the whole time. I love life, you know. So I'm pumped because I'm ticking things off, I'm adding things on, I'm seeing the creativity of it. There's plenty of color up there, and I'm in my world, you know. I don't buy into everything else.
We'll be back after this short break with more from Shannah. What about if obstacles come along? How do we fit these in, or how can we cope if they kind of, you know, if our plans aren't going to how we hope they will be?
Yes. Well, that happens all the time. We get the curveball, we get the lemon thrown.
The pandemic.
And that's why I wrote my book, Plan B, that launched last year.
Yes.
And
we have that
change.
Podcast if
Yes.
you would like to listen to that one.
Yes. So that's all about how to navigate change. So think of that as we've got the map, we've got our great plan that we've done, our road trip, and this is the detour. So what do we do in a detour? Is, first of all, we need to stop and breathe and just calm ourselves down and not react. Then just work out, you know, okay, well, that's not happening the way I thought. So I need to create a new little plan and get myself back on track. and it teaches you how to do all of that. But a lot of people, they just bin everything. Whereas it's just a detour. We can get back on track pretty quickly if we get some support or something we need, if we've lost our job or have a health scare or our relationship fails. We need to stop. We need to restore ourselves. We need to heal. And then we reset these goals.
And I think that's important. I mean, sometimes we don't reach all these goals, do we? And so how can we cope if we don't hit a goal?
Well, it's called life, right? The brain needs to know what it's going to aim for. And if we don't aim for anything, we don't go that fast. And it's better to aim high and have these goals. And you know what? If we don't get all of them, that's okay. I bet you'll get a whole lot more because you did the process. And they only happen if we take massive action. And we can't take massive action if we don't know where we're going. So it really is you've got to have that roadmap first, set some goals, take massive action, and usually 95% of the time you will win. And 5% of the time it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. When we're talking about goals, what's a good how many should we set a year? I feel like sometimes you sit there and you think, I've got 20, but then it's a bit of you got paralyzed because you've got so many. So is there a good amount to aim for each year? I
think it's good to have about 4, one for your health, one for your career, one for your finances, and one for your relationships, whether it be friends, network, marriage, parenting, whatever it might be. And that's enough. Just one in each area that you can keep dipping into, going back and taking action on, upskilling yourself in, investing in. Those 4 main areas that's all we need. It's better to do one than to do 5 and ditch the lot because it's too overwhelming. But be emotionally connected to that one because you're really emotionally connected to the outcome.
And how do we go about setting these and stepping them out so we can actually hit them? Because a lot of the time, madly goal setting at this time of year in January, and then you get to June and you're like, oh, well, where's that goal? What's happening?
Okay. So they must turn into a habit. So say you want to save $10,000 for the year or $20,000 or pay off some loans or something. It needs to become a daily habit, an automated something. So it has to become a part of our daily life. So for me, I have a direct credit every day into my savings account that just comes out so I can't spend it. It's automated so that goal will be achieved. Things like food goals there's just some really clear boundaries. There's no alcohol Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you want on the weekend, that's great. It's just simple. But we need very specific instructions to support the goal. And if we haven't done that bit, and we're not taking action around it and giving ourselves a little action list, then things just don't happen. So even if it's one goal for the year, just do one, but just do it, write it on the mirror, have it on the vision board, put it as a daily reminder so it comes up in your Outlook. But let's just keep trying to do it because you're emotionally connected. I'll feel so good when I've paid that loan off. I'll feel free when I've paid that loan off. Or if I've just got rid of all of that dairy in my diet, I'm just going to feel so much lighter and think clearly and sleep better. So you've got to be attached to the outcome.
That is just such an amazing feeling when you actually tick off something, isn't it? You're like, oh, I've done it. I actually got there.
Exactly. But it's about how it's going to make you feel.
Yes, absolutely.
More than what you get, it's how am I going to feel if I get the goal? What's the emotional connection? And that's usually the buy-in that people have forgotten to do and their action list.
And what about just back to the seasonal planning? What about energy drainers? I mean, and even for you might have a goal and you think, okay, I'm going to run a half marathon, and someone might be, no, you can't. Your partner or whatever might be quite negative about you doing that, for example. Is that an energy drainer, or is it more other things that take up time in your life? And how can we cope with these throughout our year?
Oh, I call them dream stealers. Those people.
Oh, I like that.
Yes, dream stealers. I've got lots of those. Well, why would you do a vision board kit? Why would you write a book? No one reads books anymore. I have it all the time. And 20 years ago when I became a life coach, no one had heard that. And they were like, well, why would you want to become a life coach and do all that study when you've got this amazing sports sponsorship job? I'm like, well, I can see a big future for myself here, but other people can't see. So number one is be very careful who you tell your goals to, because a lot of people don't want to go on the journey with you, or they wish that they would have set that goal for themselves, but they didn't. So be very careful that you share it with the people that will become your champions, your cheer squad, your team that are going to support you. And the people that are the dream stealers and the energy drainers, it's just not for them. So we just don't pursue them with any more conversation about that. And also energy drainers are things like having your finances messy. You know, get your finances up to date. They're your fun vouchers for the future. We need to look after them. It's about your environment and making sure, you know, your bedroom especially is really clean, tidy. That's where we sleep and rest and detox. Let's take some care of our environment. And we need to clean up our relationships. Make sure that, you know, they're not draining.
Well said. Now, just finally, what's one goal you set last year and how did you go about achieving it?
Well, my big one was the vision board kits.
You've done that very well.
So it was a dream that I had, because I've been doing vision boards since I was about 15 years old. And it was a dream that I had was, how do I get my clients to really buy into this? Because they're trying to do them, but they keep thinking it's too hard to find a picture. So I said, okay, I'm going to do the kit, but I just thought I can't do the kit myself. I can't have 5,000 kits in my rumpus room and selling them one by one. And I really spent probably 3 years looking for the right person. And I ended up going with Hinkler, who make colouring books and craft kits. They said, we have no idea what a vision board is. So I had to sell it to them, to their sales team, to their marketing team. They said, well, we'll take a gamble. And they've printed them for me. And they're now in Kmart and Target and Big W and Costco, and they're taking them overseas because there are no kits around. So I've done the work. There's a workbook, there's words, there's pictures, there's everything to bring some life and some positivity back into people's homes and to teach kids to dream again and to not be fearful. So it was a big goal. I worked really hard. I spent a lot of time on curating it to look really good aesthetically on the wall and to teach people. And it was a real hustle to try and find the right person, but I just kept having it up there on the wall and I didn't give up.
Well done. Well, I think they look fabulous and I can't wait to do mine when my kids go back to school. Shannah, thank you so much for coming on Extra Healthy-ish.
Oh, my pleasure. And everyone, just set one goal, but get emotional about it and take massive action, and it's all yours.
If you are interested in Shannah's vision board kits, I will leave a link to where you can purchase those in the show notes. If you want more from us at Body and Soul, make sure you download other episodes of Extra Healthy-ish or Healthy-ish. That's the shorter podcast we drop every morning, Monday to Friday. You can also join the conversation via Body and Soul on Instagram or Facebook, or check us out on YouTube. Body and Soul TV is live now. Thanks again for tuning in. And if you have a moment, we'd be so grateful if you could rate, review and subscribe to this podcast. And until tomorrow, stay extra healthy-ish.